So, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, we finally come to you. I may as well begin with my history with this series before diving into it properly. As a kid in the early 2000s, while watching the CW on television, there were 3 series that were shown: the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Duel Monsters and 5Ds were shown the most, whereas GX was shown far less frequently. As a result, I'm more familiar with the latter two than I am with the former beyond its first storyline. This series also puts me in a bit of a dilemma when it comes to giving it a serious analysis and critiquing it from a narrative standpoint. For those who don't know, GX's entire 4th season, as well as the final episode of the 3rd, were never dubbed into English, resulting, at least for the English dub, in a rather lackluster finale, compared to its Japanese counterpart. The same also applies to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, only it's much more egregious there. But I'll get to that when I get to it. Hopefully this won't take me another 4 years to get through like Duel Monsters did, but I guess there's only one way to find out for sure. I'm going to be doing this video a little bit differently. Since it actually takes a little bit for GX's first major story arc to get off the ground, I'm going to be focusing on some of the episodes I liked in this video before beginning my analysis of the first major story arc in the next one. So, without further ado, let's begin. So in this first episode, we're introduced to our main protagonist, Jaden Yuki, or Judai Yuki in the Japanese dub. He's got a lot of optimism, is full of heart, and he just really loves to duel. Sometimes that's to his detriment, but we'll get to that later.
Alright, I got my deck, I got my gear, and I got about 2 minutes to get to the Duel Academy entrance exams before they start. Oh well, at least since I'm not a student yet, they can't throw me in detention hall for being late.
To be honest, I really like Jaden, and I don't really understand why he gets so much hate from the fandom. The closest I could find to any sort of explanation was a Reddit post where people say that they don't hate Jaden, they hate the fact that GX, the series that Jaden's in, put him into the spotlight and that he got the majority of the screen time. But to be honest, I'm not really sure what these people are talking about, since the exact same thing verbatim happened during the original run of Duel Monsters. Also, Jaden's catchphrase, "Get your game on," is really cool and may or may not have influenced my video gaming habits during my adolescence. Anyway, Jaden is on his way to the Duel Academy entrance exams. He gets stopped by Yugimoto, who presents him with a winged Kuribo card, in a really nice passing of the torch moment.
Hey, you're...
Why don't you take this? Something just tells me that it belongs with you.
Huh? Wow, for real?
Good luck.
Hey, wait! Thank you! I'll make you proud!
Yugi is going to be referenced a few times throughout the series as well, but I'm glad that they don't go overboard with his inclusion by making him a glorified background character. So Jaden gets to the entrance exams, and we get to meet some more of the major characters. Let's go through them. First up is Cyrus Truesdale, who doesn't really make much of a first impression. Granted, during the featured duel, he does act as an audience surrogate by commentating on the moves as they happen, which is fine, but for now, this is an alright introduction. Next up is Bastian Mazawa, who, for whatever reason, gets under little Kuribo's skin.
Ooh, I hates that Bastian!
There is also another feature of Bastian that I won't really bring up until later on, but it's a really major one that's always bothered me. The next major character is Chaz Princeton, the semi-Seto of this series, who's your stereotypical rich upstart. Finally, we get to the last two, Alexis Rhodes and Zane Truesdale. Let's cover Alexis first. She's basically an Obelisk Blue student who, as the series progresses, has a soft spot for Jaden that eventually develops into full-blown romantic feelings. Unfortunately, Jaden is too oblivious to notice her, which in my opinion sucks, but I guess it makes sense from a character standpoint. Jaden likes to duel and he isn't here to date. But as a hopeless romantic, it pains me so much to see Alexis making all of these moves and putting all this romantic subtext into her dialogue, only for the end result to not go anywhere. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Finally, we come to the last major character, Zane Truesdale. He's kind of a mysterious character and he pops up from time to time, but at least right now, there's not really much I can say. I may have more to say later on, we'll have to see for sure. Anyway, Jaden goes on to duel against Dr. Velian Crowler, a teacher at the academy who's in way over his head. The voice acting given to Crowler by Sean Schemmel really gives you the impression that Crowler let his CGD, Card Games Diploma, grade education go to his head, and that he's in a major need of humbling.
I'm Dr. Velian Crowler, Department Chair of Techniques here at Duel Academy.
Wow, a department chair. I had no idea. From how you were dressed, I was thinking you were some kind of weird academy mascot. Like a majorette or a cheerleader. That's pretty sweet, Teach. How do I get one of those cool blue dual blazers?
Oh, a lot of hard work and extremely high marks. Of course, you first have to get into Duel Academy, and I intend to make certain that won't be happening.
Naturally, Jaden humbles him almost immediately using his Elemental Heroes deck, one of the coolest decks in the game. At least for me. During the duel, Crowler summons Ancient Gear Golem, which is built up like it's a super big deal, but to me, it's just I mean, I get what they're going for, the students are all excited about it, but by 2021, Ancient Gear Golems are about as commonplace as Pot of Greed cards were in the original series. So this massive reveal loses a lot of its impact through the passage of time. Anyway, Jaden defeats Crowler with Elemental Hero Flame Wingman by combining Elemental Heroes Avion and Persinatrix via polymerization. The Flame Wingman is going to become Jaden's go-to card, at least for the first season. After that, Jaden gets sorted into Slifer Red, which apparently is the lowest ranked dorm at the academy. I've got a couple of questions regarding the school's system, so I think I'll spend the next few minutes of this video discussing them if that's okay. I'm going to be structuring these questions as follows. A question, hypothesis and theories, and then finally, plugging the data from the actual episode into the mentioned equation to see if it makes actual sense. Since the anime doesn't really offer an explanation for what qualifies for what color, I'm going to be making my own, dictated solely off of remaining life points. The scale is as follows. Slifer Red, 100 to 1500 points left, Raw Yellow, 16 to 2900, and Obelisk Blue, 3000 to 4000. With this scale in mind, let's begin. Question number 1. Is there a certain amount of life points that players have to lose or have at the end of their examination duel, which then determines the resulting color they get? The formula for this one is as follows. The applicant plus the life point total at the end of the duel equals the resulting color. I would do it the other way, where the life points they lose during the duel determines the resulting color, but that wouldn't really fit with the whole school motif, since in the regular schooling system, your grade is determined by the amount of points you have left in the class, rather than the amount that you lost during however long the class lasted for. If the former were the case, I would have gotten a 15% in my New Testament Greek class this past semester, rather than the 85% I ended up with. But I digress. Question number 2. Is the sorting choice dependent on who the dueling opponent actually is? Formula for this is Crowler/Test Duelist plus victory/loss at said duel equals the resulting color. Now, obviously, if they lose the duel, they won't get into the academy, and by extension, they won't get sorted, but if they win, they do, obviously. The person they duel against, however, as I'll mention later, will be crucial for the sorting process. So let's go through these questions. During his duel with Crowler, Jaden ends the duel with 2000 points, meaning that going by my scale, he would get into the Raw Yellow dorm rather than the Slifer Red dorm. Let's give Jaden, say a 500 point boost, since he didn't just beat any old test duelist, but instead a high-ranking professor at the academy itself. With that adjustment in mind, Jaden now ends the duel with 2,500 points, which is higher, but doesn't quite get him over the edge to get him into that coveted blue coat. So, plugging this data back into the formula, Jaden plus 2,500 points equals raw yellow in this scenario, rather than the Slifer red color that he gets canonically. Bastian Mazawa, meanwhile, ends his duel with 1,300 points left. Meaning that by my calculations, he would get into Slifer red rather than Jaden, resulting in even more hatred from Little Karibo.
Ooh, I hate that, Bastian!
Sorry, pal. So, Bastian plus 1,300 equals Slifer red rather than raw yellow. Regardless, this school's sorting system really makes no sense. I believe it's stated somewhere in the first few episodes that the color schemes that the students receive are meant to dictate the skills of the duelists within the dorms. Well, clearly that explanation is malarkey, since Jaden and Bastian are pretty much of the same dueling caliber. They're able to bounce off of each other incredibly well, and are able to duel with the best of them. I found a perfect way to incorporate the original cast, at least the major players, into this series. It would also fit perfectly with the school mantra. Just have Seto and Yugi come in and give lectures from time to time. Granted, with how little the series actually focuses on the school part, that may be redundant, but hear me out. So, Yugi and Seto could come in and laud each other, taunting each other about how their respective Egyptian god card, and by extension, the color at the school, is better than the other one. Not only that, but it would also open the floor up for Jaden and Chaz to ask questions of their respective idols. They'd be able to gain more knowledge of not just the game, but of life in general. Or maybe I'm just talking my own headcanon. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed. It isn't until episode 12 or so where GX really starts getting interesting. At least for me. Granted, the story still hasn't picked up yet, but that's alright. The original series also petered around a bit with its first season in terms of the official card game's rules, since during the production of the first season, the card game's official rules hadn't been solidified yet. But in that first season, they took liberties with the card game's official rules, while making up for that with a really good and engaging storyline. So having the opposite be true here, where the trading card game is followed to a T, but the story isn't really coherent, at least not early on, isn't that big of a deal to me, especially given the laid-back nature of the first 10 or so episodes of GX. So in episode 12, a massive revelation is revealed about Bastian. You could even say that it's a write-off. Okay, I don't deserve you guys at all after that horrible pun. The reveal is that Bastian writes mathematical, statistic-level formulas all over the place, in order to precisely calculate how to take his dueling opponents down. This is insane! To be honest though, I would love to see his formula for Seto Kaiba. Let's see. L equals Blue Eyes White Dragon, M equals Deep Eyes Max Dragon, and Z equals Chaos Max Dragon. I've got it! 1 Bastian Mazawa plus 1 Crush Card Virus Trap equals devastating and weeping Seto Kaiba. Ha! Mazawa, you're a genius. You've done it again. The other massive thing that happens is that Bastian engages Chaz Princeton in a one-on-one duel, with the loser being expelled from the academy. Here's where I need to bring up the gripe that I mentioned at the beginning of this review when it comes to Bastian's character. In the final turn of the duel, Bastian summons his water dragon against Chaz, which is fine. The problem is that there's a fire dragon that shows up next to him in the show's intro that he never uses, even in the undubbed Japanese exclusive 4th season. That's ridiculous. That would be like if in the original series intro, when it shows a Tem riding the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Seto never summons nor even mentions it throughout all 5 seasons of that show. Regardless, Chaz loses the duel, resulting in him leaving the academy out of embarrassment for his failure. Moving on a few episodes, in episode 17, there's a raw yellow student who goes by the name of Dimitri. It's revealed that Yugi's deck is being shown in an expedition at the school, which excites Jaden since he's always talking about being the next king of games, and by extension, how much he loves and admires his idol. The problem, though, is that Dimitri ends up stealing Yugi's deck, which results in a duel between Dimitri and Jaden the following night. The gimmick comes in when Jaden confronts Dimitri. When Jaden confronts him, Dimitri not only mimics Atem's voice, but he also mimics the connection Atem would have with some of his cards, such as the Kuribo that he has.
Deck right now, Dimitri!
Dimitri?
Yeah!
I'm afraid that you're mistaken. I'm Yuki. Dimitri's just some child who would study other people's decks, then copy them. You see, with these cards, I'm not copying the King of Games. I truly am the King of Games! And if you want this deck back, you'll have to prove I'm not. Thank you, Kuribo. That move takes me back to our duel against Seto Kaiba at Battle City. Those were some good times, weren't they, old friend?
I love this so much. Sure, there isn't a lot of story stuff happening during the duel itself, but it's just so much fun to watch this goofball try imitating the actual legitimate world champion. At first, while rewatching this, I thought it was a major missed opportunity that they didn't bring Dan Green in to do a voice cameo, but then I realized it made perfect sense why he didn't do it. This isn't really Yugi. It's a duelist at Duel Academy imitating Yugi. Dimitri's confidence, his determination, and his enthusiasm are all a show. They're all faked, so it makes sense that his voice would be as well, given the imitation that he's doing. Jaden ends up defeating Dimitri due to his main character powers, and it's revealed that Dimitri only imitated people because he doesn't feel confident in himself. I would actually take this development a step further by saying that Dimitri has imitated so many people's dueling styles, voices, and the like, that he completely forgot what his own voice sounded like. It's like someone who's cheated their way all through high school, and then when they get to college they panic because they have to rely on themselves now rather than on their classmates. This gag does end on a pretty hilarious note though, with Dimitri imitating Jaden, which made me laugh out loud.
I've been waiting for you.
Dimitri, what are you doing?
Who's this Dimitri? My name is Jaden, and I'm a Slifer Red. Listen, we're dueling, so turn your game on.
It's get your game on. Say it right.
Yeah, whatever. We'll settle it in a duel, so let's throw up. Wait, let's throw down. Look, let's just duel. Come on, get your deck out. This is gonna be swell.
It's sweet. And you're not even close to doing my pose right.
Well, what's wrong?
Relax your wrist. Straighten up your left leg. And shout from your diaphragm. That's sweet.
The final two episodes I'll be covering in this video concern the return of Chaz Princeton following his defeat at the hands of Bastian in episodes 25 and 26. Since Chaz's defeat, he's become a part of the North Academy, rival to Duel Academy, and has acquired an Ojama deck. He also defeated every student at North Academy as well as the headmaster. An impressive feat. Chaz also comes with his own catchphrase, Chaz it up.
That's right, say it again!
Chaz it up! Chaz it up! Chaz it up!
Anyway, there's gonna be a duel between the two schools, and Jaden is selected to represent Duel Academy. Chaz, who naturally is representing North Academy, ends up dueling against Jaden. And Chaz's new deck isn't anything to sneeze at either. He's got an armed dragon archetype that's just devastating to watch, especially once he powers it up to level 7. It just eradicates everything in its path, and it doesn't look like there's anything Jaden can do. There's a great amount of tension during this duel as well. Before the duel actually began, Chaz is confronted by his two brothers, one of which is politically motivated, and the other who's business motivated. The two pressure Chaz with some rare cards, stating that he must become the top duel monster player in the world in order for their world domination goals to be realized. The problem is that during the duel, Chaz is using his own cards rather than the rare ones that the player gave him beforehand, which kind of throws a monkey wrench into their entire plan. Chaz wants to prove himself on his own, and he doesn't want help from outside sources.
No excuse to lose. Don't let us down, Chaz. Don't let the Princeton name down. It's all on you. Now go and...
Come on! Show them that Chaz Princeton is no slacker! That you're worthy of the Princeton name! That you can win! And that you can keep winning! Over and over! That you're the best! You've got to do your part, Chaz! You've got to show them that you're supreme! It's your duty! It's the plan! Now go and win! Go and win! Go and win!
Unfortunately, Chaz ends up losing to Jaden once again, resulting in his two brothers berating him for his failure. And they even add salt to that open wound by saying that Chaz was always a failure and could never do anything on his own.
You loser! You dog! You've disgraced yourself. You've disgraced the Princeton name. You are no brother of ours anymore.
Just give me another chance.
Another chance? Do you know how much we spent on this duel? The cameras, the rare cards, none of which you used, I might add.
Sorry. I thought I could win this by myself.
Yourself? When could you do anything by yourself, Chaz?
Talk about harsh. The two brothers are about to walk off, only for Jaden to light a fire under the both of them, which results in something that's just incredible.
Why defend Chaz anyhow? He's a nobody now. Disowned by us, and by the whole world. He got schooled. He got mopped up. That's right. And then worst of all, he got beat.
Wrong. There's one fight he did win. The fight against you two. Sure, Chaz may not have won the duel, but hey, at least he fought it on his own terms. It's like he said. He used his cards, not what your money could buy.
Right on, Jaden! I mean, you no good slacker!
Truth of it is, we both won here.
You're just saying that. I mean, come on. Nobody else believes that.
We do, Chaz.
Same here! Yeah! Jazz it up! 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 Yeah!
I don't have time for this garbage.
Jaden may be completely clueless when it comes to women, he may be a slacker in terms of his schooling, but he has a heart of gold, and will stand up for anyone, a quality that should always be admired. Also, Chaz is put in the Slifer Red dorm once he chooses to not return to the North Academy, which is hilarious, but it also adds another cast member to Jaden's side of the court, so to speak. These episodes have been really fun to look back on and rewatch, but now, on to some major story stuff. So, tune back in next time for part 2, where we'll dive headfirst into GX's first major story arc, The Rise of the Sacred Beast. If you enjoyed the video, why not get your own game on by slamming that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date when these videos go out. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and God bless.